from Ateneo de Davao, Philippines. We can now move on to our students from Ateneo de Zamboanga.
Hi, good afternoon. Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to my fellow students and organizers. And good afternoon to Father Tony Moreno, the former president of Ateneo de Zamboanga University. I am Asin Eustachio. I am a third-year BS in Accountancy student from Ateneo de Zamboanga University. And the representatives of our university also come from different departments. We have a student from nursing, an education major, English language studies major, an accounting major, and also a BS Biomed major at that. Zamboanga City is the Asia's Latin city because our language is Chavacano, and that includes similar terms that are also similar with the Spanish language. Ateneo de Zamboanga University also has an extended campus that is the Lantaca campus, and it was meant to be used as learning hubs and incubation labs as planned. But since this pandemic calls for greater uses, the campus is lent to the local government unit as a COVID facility for COVID positive patients. Now let us proceed to the first question. How did COVID-19 affect our learning process? Well, first of all, these courses of each representatives that we have from our university require practical exams, which are now compromised. We became very dependent on the given learning resources, and this is the trade-off of online learning. Everything is now accessible in the internet as long as you have a stable network connection. This is the reality, and some students are able to access answer keys, test banks, and even and these are certain factors that we cannot control anymore. This also makes catching up and absorbing lectures difficult, as our city has frequent unannounced power interruptions or blackouts, and we have very intermittent internet connection to the point that we are disconnected from our classes almost every minute. It is also very difficult to focus as our home environment is not conducive for learning. There is so much noise and uncontrollable factors such as inconsiderate family members. Our attention span is also diminished as we are just sitting alone inside our rooms, staring at our screens, and just by ourselves. And these resulted to students experiencing burnout. Why? Because our coping mechanisms are not doable anymore. We cannot meet with our friends, go out and eat with our family to unwind, and etc. However, the silver lining of this pandemic in terms of our learning setup is the time flexibility. We are able to do things at our own pace, and we are able to pinpoint what time of the day we are most productive. It has, most importantly, taught us time management. Proceeding to the next question of how did COVID-19 affect students' activities, projects, and programs in our university? Well, the university and its organizations have been initiating several activities for the welfare of the students. We are eager to alleviate a portion of the students' struggles. However, what diminished was the students' participation. And we find it very difficult to catch their attention and to have their attendance in terms of our activities. For organizations as well, it has been very difficult to establish a certain level of connection that will allow us to work efficiently and effectively as an organization. We are unable to interact anymore at the personal level, which is the most important in terms of disseminating tasks at that. On the positive note, however, the pandemic opened up many opportunities for the students of Ateneo de Zamboanga University. Transitioning to online setup allows us to communicate easier and for communication to be more accessible, because before our concern was more of the distance, but now our concern is the internet connectivity. This also made externalization easier, giving better methods for us for information dissemination. This pandemic has also allowed us to transcend distance and participate more in national and international congress, such as this roundtable discussion, with no expenses to bear, as more of the students here are unable to afford travel fares or to go to places outside the city. This pandemic also brought to light our government's incompetence, which empowered students to initiate activities that will spark a sense among responsibility, especially with the youth, such as registering to vote and to do something better for the community. Proceeding to our third question, how did we and our friends cope with the pandemic? Well, we are stuck in a youth in a routinary setup. There is nothing new or exciting to look forward to in our day anymore. And especially in our age, at the age of 20s, we should be having the most of our times as moments for employment and greater responsibilities await in our next chapter of life. Not only were we taken off the time to enjoy these perks, but also taken off our usual comfort, especially for extroverts or those who love to interact with people, friends, and family. Because of this, our anxiety is heightened and we have lost friendships because we are just too drained sometimes to catch up online because of hours of facing our devices during classes. The good thing about this is that just like other universities here, we are able to still find ways to do things together with our friends. These is possible through other available platforms. And this develops within us an adaptive socialization and friendship. I am sorry, our internet connection is exhibit A of internet connection. Allow me to share my screen again. There we go. As I was saying, there are certain student activities. That we are still able to do, and this allows us to develop an adaptive socialization and friendship. For the last question, how would we reimagine the post-COVID classroom and students' activities? First of all, we would recommend the integration of technology in the classroom that will enhance audiovisual materials and conduct trainings for elderly instructors on the operation of these technologies. Because most of the best instructors here in Zamboanga are already seniors and they have a difficulty in operating these technologies. So it would be better if we conduct trainings for these certain instructors. Second, we would also like student activities such as formation sessions, recollections, retreats to be centralized on processing our experiences during the pandemic. Some students lost friends, family members during the pandemic, which needs to be processed and which needs to be just put out there. We recommend a personal one-on-one guidance counseling session for students and faculty members. Since there are still possibilities of contracting the virus, we imagine a classroom with controlled number of students and a blended learning having face-to-face classes along with online learning on some days, just like other universities recommended. We also imagine that universities should prioritize the health and safety of faculty, staff, and students and impose heavily on the health and safety standards. Of course, lastly, as a Jesuit university, it has been our mission to serve our country and our community. We have to address their needs, and especially among areas with limited access to healthcare and education. We believe that post-pandemic, we should do more community-based activities such as outreach programs, love drives, and immersions. These are activities we have not been able to do due to the strict policies of travel, close contact, and other imposed policies here in the city. At the end of the day, all that we want is to assist in the healing of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our student panelists from Ateneo de Zamboanga. So last but not the least, we have our students from Myanmar Leadership Institute.
Hello, can you see my screen and can you hear me well?
Yes, we can see your screen and hear you well.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so hello, good afternoon to you all and nice to meet you. My name is Yunshe Yuin and I'm the representative from Myanmar Leadership Institute, MLI, which is one of the Jesuit Myanmar missions. Today I'm going to present you about how our learning environment is changing because of COVID and what are we doing in this pandemic. So let me start with the first question. So how COVID affects our learning process. Under this topic, I will present with 4C. And the first C is concentrations of students in online learning. Since we start facing with COVID-19, we transform our physical classes into online learning or e-learning. So it is a great starting point since we become familiar with online technology and online platform. But on the other hand, some lessons and subjects really need in-person discussions or assignments or practical. So they can reach their target understanding point when we come through with online learning. So this affects the concentrations of students, and it is really difficult to concentrate on the lessons that we can understand well. Besides, sometimes we understand the lessons in paper, but in practice, we can even understand what the concept is. So this is the first consequence of COVID-19. And the second consequence is communication between teachers and the students. Since we are moving into online learning, we can see with our teachers only on the screen. So we can be familiar with our teachers in contrast to our physical classes. The better communication can create the better relationships. The better relationships between our teachers and students can create a charming and warming, lovely learning environment. So if we and our teachers have unfamiliar relationships between each other, our learning environment will blend with the thing named one. So the third C, especially concerned with our country current situation. Although the youth around the world can study well through online or through internet, the youth in our country are facing very difficult situation. We got internet shutdown. Some of us are arrested, and some of us are killed brutally. And some of us are now in people defense force, we call it BTF, and sacrifice their lives for our country future. So overall, every single youth in our country who stand on the right side can study well under this situation. Even if we are not in BDF or even if we are still alive and we still have a chance to learn, we can't study well because we feel guilty. And the fourth C is the COVID third wave, which is the worst wave we are suffering at the same time with the coup. We lost our family members, and we lost our friends, and we lost our beloved ones. So how can we study when our family members are decreasing oxygen level and we are searching oxygen very difficultly, even in midnight when we have curfew? How can we study when we are COVID positive patient? Yes, this is because of COVID-19, but the main reason is because of the coup, since they can control the situation well and they can even supply the people with their basic need, which is oxygen. So under this situation, we can study anything and our learning journey became interesting. And let me move into the second question. And this is about how COVID affects students' activities, projects, programs in our university. Mostly we have our capstone projects, research paper, and some fun activities in our physical classes. But everything changes when we start facing with COVID-19. We can see each other and we can continue our community work that we are used to do. We use almost all of our time on social media or online learning platform or YouTube or Netflix or for some fun activities. These all of us the community work that we are used to do because we can do anything with the community for everyone's safety. However, on the other hand, we still have more online classes to join and more programs to join and more activities to participate in, since there are a lot of your organizations that have come up in this pandemic and there are a lot of online sharing programs in this pandemic. Among them, our institute, MLI, is one of the institute that is offering both the diploma program and the certificate program through online. So let me move into the third question. And this is how me and my friends cope with this pandemic. During this pandemic, we face with a situation that we have never expected. We can see each other and we can even hang out. So our internships and volunteer work changed into online. The universities are closed and our academic study is suspended. It is really hard for us. At first, we don't know what should we do. But as we use social media for our information, we are getting to know about online programs in advance. And thus, we started applying online courses and we started participating in online programs and we exploring the courses on online platforms that we want to learn. We attend an online sharing program about the scholarship or mentorship or some other related topics. And we also join the organization that are formed during this pandemic, as I mentioned before, and we share and teach our peer what we are specialized in. But on the other hand, we often get depressions because since we feel lonely, especially in our country, we are facing with both the coup and the COVID. The coup was threatening our lives and our future day by day. Sometimes we don't even want to do anything because we can't do anything when our friends and the people at our age are arrested and killing brutally. We feel guilty and we even went to suicide because we lose hope. And let me move into another question. And this is my imagination about post-COVID classroom and students' activities. Since COVID will not disappear within a certain period, for example, in a month or in a year. So we have to continue our new normal classrooms. And we will wear masks and we will obey some related special announcement. And we will take care of each other with psychosocial support since we are facing a lot of anxiety and depression and some other things in this pandemic. So we need both counseling and psychosocial support. So if we need psychosocial support, I will get counseling. If our friends need psychosocial support, we can share our counseling sessions. And we can continue our community works and we will continue. And this is what our imagination about post-COVID situation. Here, let me present about my imagination after we prevail our revolution. So after we prevail our revolution, we will build our country again and try our best for our country. And we will try to get equality, equity, and justice among different people. And most importantly, we will show deepest condolences to our fallen heroes and fulfill their wishes, which is democracy and the human rights. And we will let our next generation know how selfishness for authority is bad and try not to happen again in here. And if we got our civilian government back, we will ask them for quality education, not only for us, also for our next generation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much to our student panelists from Myanmar Institute. All right.